Okay, hello again, Alex here. So to continue with our plushies, now that we have our face built, hopefully yours doesn't look as grumpy as mine, we are going to start working on our body. So you can start putting it all together and see it start to come together. So you should already have two parts of your body cut out and two, well, circles of the head that we worked on last time. For this, I'm just using my miniature pattern, so it'll be a little bit quicker to show you. Let me take this pattern off of the felt. Okay, so the other things that we will need is that if you are going to give it a skeleton, you need to have your armature built. You also need a thread and needle. I have kind of a pinkish color thread that kind of blends into the skin tone that I'm using. You can just use whatever color best matches what you're using. Also, if you just wanted to lightly glue around the edges, that will also work. Hot glue would hold better. If you don't have hot glue or fabric glue or needle and thread, white glue would also work. It just won't be nearly as strong. I also do recommend having some sort of tweezers so we can stuff with, because your fingers will not be skinny enough to fit into this pattern. I have tried. These ones, again, are just specifically meant for sewing, for stuffing, for everything like that. If you don't have any sort of tweezers or anything, I have a mechanical pencil here, a pen, something that doesn't have tip that's going to be like coloring in the inside of your plushie where you can see it on the outside, or that may accidentally poke through, but also it does need to be skinny enough to fit into the skinniest part of your pattern. Let's see, the last thing that we will need is fluff. So this is just plain old polyfill. I just kind of keep it in a bag here because I have a massive bag of it that I don't like to carry around, so I just have it in kind of a sandwich bag. So just as much fluff as you need to fill your character. So the first thing that we're going to do, obviously, is knot our thread. So in order to knot the thread, again, if you didn't watch the first video that I did, just lightly lick your finger, not enough to have it dripping wet. Wrap it around twice, twist it off the finger, and then pull it tight. And that will make you a little knot. Because this is going on the inside, I don't care that this is kind of a big ugly knot. Sometimes it comes out a little nicer than other times, but if it's going on the inside, it doesn't really matter. Personally, when I start my plushies, because I like to attach the head, obviously, to the neck, I start at the neck, because then when I come around, I will end at the neck, and I can just continue my same thread to attach the bottom of my head. So what we're going to do is just hold your two plushie bodies together. If you want to, you can pin it. I have noticed that I am very likely to poke myself if I keep pins in this pattern as I'm sewing. I have a lot of practice also, so it makes it easy to just hold it and sew. If you want to just kind of maybe lightly glue a little bit on a couple spots just to hold it in place while you're sewing. Otherwise, it's not that hard to just keep it together more or less in the same type of place. So we just start by putting your thread through the inside, or what will become the inside of one of your plushies, or one side of your plushie. So then when we put both together, you can't see the knot on either side. And I'm just going to start my blanket stitch, as I showed you in the first video, around the outside edge of my plushie. And because some of this may or may not stick out depending on how we dress our plushie, I don't want to put my stitches too close to the inside so that they come out really huge. I also don't want it too close to the edge where it may fall out or pull through my felt. So just kind of find that middle ground of where it's going to look nice and also hold your plushie together. Also, you don't want to go too far in, because then you won't be able to fit any stuffing, or you won't be able to fit your armature inside. So we do remember that we have to fit both of those things. So we're just going to start and just follow around the outside edge of your plushie. By the time you finish with your body, you will be an expert with your blanket stitch. You will be able to do it in your sleep. Hopefully you won't poke yourself with it. I also have this itty bitty little needle that is my favorite. It's very hard to thread, but it's also less likely to poke myself with it when I'm coming through like that to do my blanket stitch. When I have a longer needle, I'm likely to poke myself with it because I don't judge the length of the needle right sometimes, and it's a little more dangerous. But just pick whatever is most comfortable to fit in your hand, what you're not going to accidentally drop, or maybe poke yourself with this hand while you're trying to hold it. Just whichever size is most comfortable for you. As you work around. Oops. And if you do what I just did, which is loop it a little wrong, you just kind of have to pull gently at that knot until it comes loose. I basically just like mini knotted my thread. And so you just pull it, there, and then just pull it until it's loose, and then it should come apart, and you will be able to continue on your way. So now that we've gotten around the hand of our plushie, this is when I like to start thinking about putting in my armature and my stuffing. I have tested 2 different ways of doing these plushies, which is where I get the whole body sewn up to about here and then try and stick the armature in and then sit there trying to fill the bottom of the feet and the arms. And it's a little difficult to fit through this little itty bitty neck opening. So the thing that I have learned is the easiest way of doing it is to do it basically limb by limb. So now that I'm getting to the end of my arm, I'm going to, let's see, actually let me reach the end of the arm. And also you notice doing the blanket stitch, your thread will turn into this big curl. When that happens, just kind of let it fall loose, pull it down, and it will straighten itself more or less out again, and it'll make it easier to work with. Okay, so now that I have my arm, I'm going to start getting my armature into my plushie. So what I do is just kind of stick the arm into the plushie. So you just kind of bend it until it fits into your body, and you'll see how it lines up with the rest of the body at this point. Neck, there you go. So now you have a bendable arm, but we don't want to have just a flat plushie. So next thing is to start adding your stuffing. So I'm just going to grab a little blob here, you can kind of see it, and then just using my tweezers, just grab little bunches and just start filling them in to the plushie around the armature. And just kind of push it in. You have to be gentle, otherwise you could potentially rip through your felt or rip through the edge of your stitching. I have done both of those things. Neither one is a good thing. So you can kind of see where it came out. So now here it's a little bit chubbier on the arm. If you're using the armature, you just kind of have to push it around it. Otherwise, just put your stuffing in how you can. I kind of like to, when I'm doing the arms, just kind of put it into a little bundle like that, so it's not just a big poof of fluff just kind of wandering around. And I also tend to do it kind of front and back. So like I put the first one in the front, I'm going to stick the second one through the back here just to kind of round out the arm, just to make sure, you know, that there's some fluff in every part of the arm. All right, so there's one arm. So what I'm going to do is continue around. And if you're not using tweezers, what you would do is just kind of stick it there and then just poke it in with whatever you're using to poke. Also, if you are doing that method, it might be a good idea to stop your stitching about here, fill in the hand, do a little more, fill in the arm. Just go step by step to where your pencil, whatever you're using, can actually reach, just to make it easier for you. And then as we continue stitching, we just have to hold our armature in place and just kind of stitch around it. So you basically just continue what you're doing, except now you have an armature in there. And since it's the same shape as your plushie body, it will just stay more or less in place. And then as you get through each limb, I do recommend just filling in the limbs as you go. You can kind of stuff the chest at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second, step away, finish this one up, and I will be right back to show you how to attach the head.